One thing that I need to make clear is that my channel, as a high caliber man, is only meant for people who are truly striving to be the absolute best that they can. So, all the information that I give, all the advice that I give, number one, is coming from personal experience. It's coming from me literally having nothing, from me literally being growing up having nothing, growing up having to earn everything that I've ever had to earn, growing up and having nobody in my entrepreneur journey to ever really show me the ropes other than mentors that I've paid way further down the road. I had multiple businesses fails. I've tried multiple projects that failed and continuously learn after learn, failure after failure after failure after failure. So one thing that we need to get clear up front is that as a high caliber man, this channel is only meant for other men who are striving to be high caliber themselves, who are striving for a better life for themselves and for their loved ones and then for everybody else around them. So one thing that you need to get straight is that in order to truly fix the world, in order to truly fix your situation around you, you must first fix yourself. Nothing will ever exceed your personal development. If you're a shitty ass person, if you're a person with shitty ass habits, you're never going to excel to the extent that you truly want. You have to realize this, right? Is that there is different versions of yourself. Some call it quantum physics, some call it, the universe, whatever the case may be. But no one realized that there's literally different versions of yourselves in different realms, parallel universes we can call it. Now, if you don't believe this, play along with me, right? Is that there's a version of you that's extremely rich and there's a version of you that's extremely poor. Now, you have to realize that both those people are real. However, the only differences between those people are their habits, right? For example, let's just say the bum version of you, right? The homeless version of you in downtown. The bum version of you in downtown is a man who is susceptible to all his vices. And not only kind of vices, we're talking about extreme vices. This guy participates in, what's the word? Prostitution, right? With women. He literally uses all his money to shoot up heroin every single day. He just focuses on how to get that next quick high. Now, the rich version of you, the wealthy version of you, the version of you that you're actually striving for to attain, that person has particular habits and particular thought process that he has, right? Which is more than likely going to be a man who is very disciplined, more than likely going to be a man who is on his purpose, more than likely going to be a man that doesn't shake to issues. More than likely a man that's going to see a challenge and see it as an opportunity for him to prove to himself who he truly is. A man who never backs down to any challenge. A man who never backs down to meeting his true potential on a daily basis. So my point to this is that there are different versions of you, and you have to figure out what particular version of you want to be and therefore align with that version of yourself that you want to be. I remember back when I was about 17, 18 years old, 18 and 19 years old actually, I had started my first business. So this business was called Cutlass Auto Details. You can probably look it up. I had an Instagram for it as well. But what that business was I had a mobile automotive detailing business. This was my first business that I had ever done. I'd actually dropped out of college my freshman year. Crazy story was that I ended up dropping out, point being, right? And I started an automotive detailing business, mobile detailing business. I was so nervous when I had my first customer. But I ended up building up that business, that clientele, and we literally were busy every single day. I was working about 12-hour days and then going home and continuously doing more work, continuously putting more work into the business. And we were doing like pretty good. We were doing like, we were getting some big tips, $100 tips. I think we were doing like revenue-wise, I think it was like $1,500 a week, which at the time as a 19-year-old, that was really good. 18-year-old, 19-year-old, that was really, really good. Now, what happened was I ended up losing that business. Overnight, my van ended up getting stolen. I remember one time that I had woke up. It was a typical Monday, I believe, and I had a customer scheduled within the morning. And when I was walking over to my car, my van, with all my stuff in it, and keep in mind, I had just invested like almost all my money into more equipment. There's a long story to that, and I'll get more into it if you want me to in a different video. But point being was that when I walked out to my van, everything was stolen. My van was stolen. Come to find out, fast forward a few days later, they end up finding it on the side of the freeway up in like 2 hours north of from where I was at. So somebody got into my car, essentially hotwired it, and took off with it, stole all my shit, and left it on the side of the road. After that, I got into kind of like a depression. I got into a big sadness. We're gonna call it depression. But essentially, all I was doing is I was hanging around old high school friends and just smoking and drinking and not doing anything. There was days where I would get crossfaded during the week, as they call it, crossfaded, which is like you drink alcohol and then you smoke weed. And throughout that entire time, I just spiraled further down, further down, further down, further down, losing confidence, not feeling like I was ever going to amount to anything, feeling like, it was kind of like the end of the world. And at that time, too, I was like I was living at my friend's house, my high school friend's house, living in his room, in a pink room with flowers everywhere. Now, I know I'm going everywhere in this story, but my point to this is this, right? I had to go through massive trials and tribulations and change my habits to become a much better person, to the point where I went through more trials and tribulations, to the point to where I finally began to invest into my own entrepreneur journey, began to invest into my career. I got a mentor when I was like 20, right around 19, 20 years old, and went through a journey. I actually ended up I started working at the Navy base. I started working as a valet. I quit those two jobs. I became a salesperson at Chevy and Ford. Actually, my apologies. A long story, man. This is crazy. I tried to become a real estate agent, right? I stopped doing that. I actually got into sales for Chevy, then went to Ford and Kia as a salesperson, then quit those two jobs, went over and became a technician. It was like an oil tech at a Navy base, then went to valet. So I had two jobs at the time. Man, this is crazy. I'm getting a bunch of flashbacks right now, and I can go further deep into this later on a different video. But I remember at this time when I was working these two jobs at the Navy base as well as a valet, I literally felt like my life was over. I was like 20 years old. And I felt like I had tried everything, which is so funny looking back on it now. So such an ignorant mindset. And I remember I had learned about this one book called You Are a Baddest by Jen Sincero. And I remember feeling like I was super down, and I was wearing my mechanic clothes, all oiled up, all dirty from tires, changing tires. And on my lunch break, I went into my 350Z at a car, and I remember feeling that like I thought it was GG. I thought that I was never gonna amount to anything. And I remember reading the book, and one thing that stuck out to me in that book when I was reading it, it said that anything that you want and desire is accessible to you now. Anything you want and desire is accessible to you now. So any lifestyle that you want, any reality that you're looking for is accessible to you. It's just a matter of building yourself into that person that cultivates that life. And I remember from that point on, it was like a big mental switch. And I ended up getting into real estate. I ended up getting to different ventures. I ended up going across the country and learning about different real estate, how to do real estate, how to do wholesaling in particular. Made a lot of money, made $50,000, $60,000 just in a couple months. Ended up buying a house, ended up selling it, made 2-3x return on it. So we're talking about from nothing to this. And you have to know and understand and realize that this takes a mindset. Really, at the end of the day, and if you study a majority of successful people, as they say, success leaves hints, success leaves clues, all of it comes down to the way that you think. And this is why it's so important for you to focus on getting in control of the way that you think, getting control of your thoughts. Because in all reality, the life that we experience, the reality that we live in, is all diluted from the way that we think. Now this can be to our disadvantage, and this can also be to our advantage, right? The ones who use it to their disadvantage, unconsciously more than likely, are people who typically have a pessimistic viewpoint. Now, what do I mean by that? Pessimistic meaning that it's always negative. Something happens to them, it's a negative mindset. Their tire blows out, oh, fuck. Look, I have, in quotes, I don't even like saying this, I have bad luck. That's what they would say. So therefore, by them continuously perceiving that they have bad luck, they continuously attract a life of bad luck. And same thing goes vice versa. The man who lets the tire pop, this is the difference in mindset. The man who he's driving to work, let's just say he's already late, right? He woke up late, his alarm didn't work. He's driving to work and his tire pops, right? He gets out, rather than getting upset, he laughs. Rather than getting upset, he uses this as an opportunity to truly test his emotional resilience, because at the end of the day, you can only control with what's within your control. And the way that you react to that particular tire pop is what's within your control. Rather than your emotions going crazy and going array, you therefore take control of that particular situation and have a better mental frame. Now remember, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And this is so important to transmute into what you're doing, especially as a man who is coming from rags to riches, a man who is just continuously paving his path every single day. You have to realize that you have to see challenge in a completely different light. Because if you're continuously seeing challenge as an issue, it's always going to be a fucking problem for you to overcome. Rather, this is the mind frame switch that you need. Great. This fucking happened to me? Good. Now this is an opportunity for me to truly fucking test to see what kind of motherfucking man that I am. This is an opportunity for me to test to the universe and show to the universe who I am. Something random came up, good. Good. Now I have an opportunity to motherfucking overcome this because I know everybody motherfucking watching me. I know everybody who would be in my situation would give fucking up. And not me because I'm motherfucking different. I'm a man who's about success. I'm a man about making shit happen. I'm a man about getting to 6 figures, getting to 7 figures, getting to 8 figures. So therefore, great. I'm glad. I've been waiting for this motherfucking test. And this is the mentality that you need to fucking have. This is a mentality of true winners. The men who are fucking losers, the men who are bitches, the men who are soft, are the men who run away from problems, are the men who who shake in fear in regards to hoping that nothing ever happens, hoping that no problems ever fucking happen to them. And if you have that mentality, if you have that mindset, you will never fucking win. And more than likely, if you haven't won in your life at all, it's more than likely because you yourself are using this mindset. And this is the mindset switch that you need to have. Welcome challenge. Welcome challenge. I'm glad shit happens. I can't wait for the next shit to happen. I can't wait for something to motherfucking test me. Because a man's true character isn't tested until adversity comes, until something doesn't go your way. Who you really are doesn't truly show until shit doesn't go your fucking way. So ask yourself, how are you acting? How are you being when shit isn't going your way? And that's your true character. Now, if you act in ways that are, something that you're ashamed of, something that you wouldn't show the world, now you have things to work on. Now you've identified the problems that you need to fucking work on. But remember, we need to begin to take focus. We need to begin to take control and focus on our thoughts. Control the way that we think. And this goes in all ways, right? Like, I'll give you the quick example as we wrap up the video here, is that I remember I was at the gym today, and two examples. I was sitting in the gym, I was sitting chest day and tri day, obliterated my chest, obliterated my triceps. And as I'm on like rep 6, you start hearing that bitch voice telling you, oh fuck, this is hard. Oh shit, I can't fucking do this. I tell myself, no motherfucker, no. This is an opportunity for me to prove to myself who I am. My body doesn't control me. I control my body. My spirit controls my body. My body doesn't tell me what the fuck to do. I control my motherfucking body. And I'm repping those out. 8, 9, 10. I feel like giving up on fucking 10. I'm repping that 11, shaking and breaking. And when I come down to 12, good motherfucker. I got this. Then I prove to myself who the fuck I am. And like I said, I was telling myself in my head this. A man's true character isn't tested until adversity strikes. And who the fuck am I going to be on rep 6? Who the fuck am I going to be on rep 7? Because how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you bitch up, if you want to complain, if you give up and you don't face the task and you fucking fail, how is that going to transmute into the rest of your life? Now look at your life and ask yourself, am I a fucking failure? Well, if you are, more than likely it's because you adopted an ill mindset. But remember, all these things are within your control. You can take this and use it to your advantage, but you have to continuously practice it throughout your entire day. Another example too, and this is an example in regards to women, is that you can't let women manipulate you. You can't let women control your thoughts. Like, for example, if you get really nervous when there's a cute girl around you and you want to approach her, by you being nervous and you not approaching her, you therefore allow your emotions to take control of you and you allow that woman to manipulate you. You have to know and understand that these emotions that you feel within you aren't truly you. These are like old genetic wirings that you can overcome. But first comes perspective, right? If you read up on Stoic philosophy, one thing that they always talk about, right, is that not putting judgment on anything. Whether it's you don't want to put any good judgment on something, you don't want to put any bad judgment on something. So when you feel these ill thoughts, when you feel these, nervousness, you feel the adrenaline pumping through your veins, you just don't add add any value to it. You don't attach any meaning to it. You just say to yourself, oh, look, I'm feeling like, I feel my adrenaline spiking, but guess what? I'm going to walk up and do what the fuck I have to do. And this is adamant in all regards, especially in sales, door knocking, cold calling, whatever the case may be. As you venture out into becoming a high caliber man, you're going to continuously be tested. You're going to be continuously put in your uncomfort zone. And guess what comes with uncomfort? The unknown. That's why it's uncomfortable. So you have to learn about how to properly handle that. How do I properly handle myself as a man when I go through these uncomfortable situations? Because in order to get somewhere we've never been, we have to do things that we've never fucking done. So therefore, we have to be very comfortable being uncomfortable. And if we continuously stay in our comfort zone, we're never going to get to the next echelon as men. So you have to eradicate this idea of an easy cupcake fucking life, because that shit's never going to lead to your true fucking success unless you do want that cupcake life. Unless you want to fucking go home every day and swig a beer and forget about all your fucking life problems. That's what your life is going to look like. Shit. So whether you want to, and remember, right? The pain will always be there. The pain will be there whether you face your adversities and be comfortable being uncomfortable, or your pain will be there if you don't do shit. Your pain will be there by having a life of lack. So which pain do you fucking want? But either way, the pain will be there. And it's probably in your most benefit that you pick something that's going to be to your fucking benefit, which is being comfortable, being uncomfortable, and pushing yourself continuously. And you see, as you do these things, as you continuously push yourself as a man, you begin to feel more invigorated. You begin to feel more empowered. You begin to feel more fucking masculine. And you do this over and over and over and over and over to the point where now it becomes your character. And I can tell you, when you walk into the room, people will automatically notice. When you walk into the room, people don't even know who you are. They know that, oh man, this is a different kind of guy. This is a guy that you probably don't want to fuck with. This is a guy that you can actually respect. Is that how you want other people to perceive you? Is that how you want to perceive yourself? Okay, great. And if that's the case, then you need to do the things that are required for you to attain that. Which comes down to fucking mindset. Which comes down to your actual application of being comfortable, being uncomfortable. But I appreciate you guys. If you have any other questions, be sure to leave it in the comments below. I will answer any question that you have in the video or in the comments. So be sure to leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Until next time, I'll catch you guys soon. And be sure to watch this other video. Catch you then. Peace out.